Absolutely.
But yeah, that's going to get us right into Wine About It for this episode. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll kick it off, and
right.
I just got around to getting my L'uva Bella wine list picked out for my next shipment. So I'll be having a dozen more bottles of wine here in the coming days. So excited about that. But yeah, Wine About It, presented by L'uva Bella Wines. I'm sure you'll do the thing at the end of this segment. But my Wine About It, people just always want to come up with conspiracies in some way, shape, or form. And for some reason, the new conspiracy is NASCAR favors Ross Chastain. And I don't know where this comes from other than the fact, like, obviously Ross Chastain's pissed off a lot of people. A lot of the fans are pissed off by him because he seems to get into something every week. So, but what do they want? Do they want NASCAR to, and I'm not even talking the fight yet. That's where I'm going to get to the crux of the issue. But what do they want to penalize Ross Chastain for being near a wreck? Do they want NASCAR to penalize Ross Chastain for the Brennan Poole incident? That's an accident. That's not, I'm Denny Hamlin and I let go of the wheel to intentionally take out Ross Chastain, which I still thought was a shitty penalty for NASCAR to give Hamlin there. How are they favoring Ross Chastain? They literally took away his move that he made at Martinsville. I'm just trying to figure out where people come up with these weird conspiracies. So the conspiracy now is that NASCAR stepped in after Ross Chastain threw the punch just to help Ross Chastain because they favor him and they love him and whatever. And I even saw people in the Action Network Discord being like, those were Ross's security guards. No, they weren't. I went up and looked it up. They're not Ross's security guards. Those were NASCAR security guards. I saw it from an actual NASCAR source. So they're like, oh, well, they just favor Ross Chastain. They just let him hit Noah, and then they break it up and whatever. And that's ridiculous. If Noah threw the first punch, the officials would have reacted the exact same way. They would have stepped in to break it up. That's their job. They were doing their job. So yeah, I understand people hate Ross Chastain, but people just get on these weird conspiracies about things that, why would NASCAR favor Ross Chastain, set this thing up to where, what are they going to tell Gragson? Go get up to Ross Chastain, let him punch you in the face, and then we'll break it up. Like, what? I don't think NASCAR had a chance to react to that, unless they planned all that out, which would be completely asinine and even worse conspiracy theory. Then that was all spontaneous, and you think NASCAR would have, in their minds, somehow magically radioed down to the security guard instantly, or been like, security guard, be on the lookout, step in only if Noah's about to punch. Like, no, what are we talking about? It's completely ridiculous, these stories that people make up on Twitter about how NASCAR favors Ross Chastain. I'm trying to figure out where any sort of Ross Chastain favoritism could come in from NASCAR, and I'm just not seeing it. I don't see any favoritism anywhere towards Ross Chastain. If anything, maybe a little anti-favoritism by taking away the Martinsville move, or team orders in the championship race for Penske to was Ryan Blaney really going 100% there, the 100% rule type deal? If anything, it just kind of balances out. So people just want to find the dumbest shit to get angry about. No, what happened was Ross reacted, he slugged Noah in the face, but you can't anticipate the initial punch. Once the punch happens and it's getting real, NASCAR officials got to step in. And then I see people saying, oh, but NASCAR officials always waited to step in. And this, no, it's a situation by situation case. If the officials are right there, they step in. If the officials are further away, it takes them longer to get there. If Kyle Larson is getting shoved by Bubba Wallace on the track, there's no security officials there. It's just safety people. Safety people aren't stepping in. So it's just one of those things where when people are around, they'll break it up. But sometimes the people aren't around, and sometimes they are. And that's all there is to it. But the goal is to break it up. While we all would love to see NHL, fight it out until one of them goes to the ground.
I would pay more for that.
Yeah, but we're kind of, especially on pit road, we're kind of in a dangerous area. There could be cars driving. There could be scooters going around. If people are falling over on pavement, that could get not so good. I don't think we want to see Ross Chastain injured or Noah Gragson injured, but especially Ross Chastain injured. Maybe there's the favoritism, but that's from me. Like, you don't want to see one of the stars of your sport injured because of a pit lane fight, and now he has to miss a bunch of races. So NASCAR just they have to step in. I think we all want to see them slug it out until, kind of hockey style, until they go to the ground, but it's a little different than hockey. They're wearing pads, even though they throw off the gloves and the helmet and whatever. They're still wearing pads. They're still on they're on ice. They're not on pavement. There isn't like Zambonis flying around the ice or anything like that, where there could be cars on pit road coming around. It's a little different situation there. So my whine about it is basically just like, where the hell do people think NASCAR is favoring Ross Chastain?
Yeah, it's they have the same conspiracy theories with Chase Elliott. NASCAR favors Chase Elliott, and I'm not gonna lie, there are certain times where it may seem like it, but to think that there's this huge orchestrated effort to favor certain drivers, I don't think is I won't say it's not possible, but it's not likely. And as far as the security thing, you made a great point. Like, there's obviously been fights in the past. There were fights that happened in haulers. Like, that's why security wasn't there. It's because they can't be everywhere. Not to mention, don't you think that NASCAR is saying, hey, Ross Chastain's pissed off about 90% of the people in this field. We should probably have some people around him, especially in a race where he's pissed someone off, because he pissed off Kyle Busch in that race too at Kansas. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget that. Kyle Busch will do something about it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think NASCAR probably radioed down after the race and said, hey, let's get some more security guys over by Chastain, just because the likelihood of it happening is significantly higher than someone going over there and punching Joey Logano in the face.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not to protect Ross Chastain. That's to protect both Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain.
And to protect, they still want to protect the sport. They don't want to see guys fighting as much as we do. Like, I do. I want to see people fight. I want to see it. I want to see more fights in NASCAR. But
yeah, I want to see them started, and I want to see the drivers get pissed at each other. It's a sport. You're not supposed to be all kumbaya. You're supposed to be angry at each other. But at the same time, once it turns physical, it is NASCAR's job to step in. That is their job. So, while we want to see the guys go at it, NASCAR's job is to, once they start going at it, to break it up. And I don't actually see any hypocritical stuff here with NASCAR. They say, hey, if you start going at it, that's cool. That generates a lot of stuff, but we're going to break it up because we need you guys to be racing next week as well. And I don't think that's a hypocritical stance. But I have zero problem with them marketing the shit out of it. Yeah.
I just hope they do, like I said. But final point on this. Hey, NASCAR, off season comes around. Have you ever watched the Barstool Sports Rough and Rowdy?
No.
Okay, it's a bunch of amateur boxers, and they just fight. There's a bunch of fights all night. Do it for charity. You know how much money that would raise if you had not Chase Elliott, but Ross Chastain versus Gragson.
You think Chase Elliott's going to do anything? No.
No. Chase Elliott ain't going to do anything. I would love to see that too, but yeah. Pay $5-10. You could do a live stream from your phone. Charge people $10. You generate so much money for charity or wherever you wanted to put it. Come on.
And attention.
Yes. My whine about it is also going to include Mr. Chastain, and it's going to be he's the biggest talk in the sport right now, and for good reason. But it's going to be his fanboys. So I made 2 tweets on Sunday that people didn't really like. First one was, and I touched on this last week. I said, well, actually, I'll do the second one first. First, I tweeted out, should Ross Chastain get suspended should Ross Chastain get suspended for punching Gragson? And I don't think people realize that I was just asking a question. I wanted to see where the consensus was. Within seconds, people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would they suspend it? It's just a question. I'm not saying he should. If it was worded, they should suspend Ross Chastain, what do you think? Then yes. But no, I had no opinion on it. I want this. I want the fights. I want them. So why would I want him suspended? But the bigger one was I tweeted again after the race. I said, friendly reminder, Ross Chastain has one non-super speedway win in his Cup Series career, and he took out 2 people to get that race, to get that win. FYI. And immediately, man, I got some replies on this, but most of them were points leader. Yeah, but he's really good. I didn't realize we handed out fucking championships after race 12. What the fuck does being the points leader right now have to do anything about it? He gets dumped 3 races in a row because people are pissed at him. He's going to be down in 5th in points. Like, what does points leader have to do? He's not winning races. This is my point. And you know what? I'm going to go back to Matt Kenseth's championship year. Let's go back to that. 2003. Matt Kenseth won 1 race that year. If Ross Chastain goes this entire year and wins 1 race, wins the championship race at Phoenix, are we going to hear how it's a bullshit championship? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're not going to say that. Yeah. Why the fuck are you being so hypocritical? Ross Chastain isn't winning races. Do I think he has the potential to win races? Yes. Do I love that he's aggressive on the track? Yes. Stop crowning this guy as an elite talent in this sport when he's not winning races. And to be quite honest, he's not even getting extremely close. Like, Dover, yes. He wasn't a contender at Kansas. He was a top 5 contender. He was not a contender. Chastain has a problem with fading late in races, I've noticed.
Yes.
He's really, really fast in the beginning, kind of fades throughout the race. He needs to get that figured out.
It's kind of the opposite of Larson, who, like, Larson, like you would say, the adjustments on his car would always get better and better.
Same with Truex.
Chastain doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the adjustments, whether it's him or the team or knowing what to do. And that's still part of the learning process. Like, this is only his 3rd, like, full-time year in respectable equipment. I'm not talking his 2 years at Premium Motorsports. Yeah. It's only his 3rd full-time year in respectable equipment. So it doesn't take you like 1 year to know what to do all the time, or even 2 years. Remember, Kyle Larson didn't start off reeling off a ton of wins until like his 4th year, around race 99 or whatever I said it was. It took him to get his first win, I think it was. But he didn't start reeling off wins like crazy until after that, and even then it was still sporadic. Same for Tyler Reddick at this point, other than road courses, right? Like, outside of road courses, what has Tyler Reddick won? He's won just Texas. That's it. So, Ross Chastain, while he's older than those guys were at those points in their careers, just because he's had a more of a journeyman way to get here, he is still learning it. So you're right. He isn't quite as close to making all these wins. That doesn't mean he can't down the road. And I don't think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying he can contend for wins. He will, but he hasn't yet gotten all those wins. And he hasn't been close enough. There's been times he's been close. There's been times he's led the most laps, Auto Club, won the first 2 stages. But again, he faded there. Faded to the 3rd or so best car in that race. So I think that's your point is, he's not winning a ton of races. He's not getting 2, 3, 4 wins at this point in the season. He has 0. Last year he had 2. And, one of them was a super speedway. I'm not going to discount that or anything. One of them was at a road course. Like you said, he punted 2 guys out of the way. But you need to be there to give yourself the opportunity to win. He hasn't quite been there enough these days. So it's just one of those things. He'll be there eventually at some point. They'll figure out how to adjust better in the race or stay, better in the race and not fade, or maybe not get into so many incidents, which costs him, people racing him harder, things like that. But at this point in time, you're right. There's maybe a multitude of reasons why he's not finishing first. Yeah,
and I'm going to disagree there. I'm going to discount super speedway wins entirely. I don't think Daytona 500 wins should get you into the Hall of Fame. Super speedway wins are such a crapshoot. I discount them entirely, but that's a completely different conversation. Yes, Ross Chastain can win these races. And my point here is kind of like what you were talking about with practice and what we talked about last week. You need to be able to analyze an entire situation. You need to have the full context of an entire situation. There are people out there, Ross Chastain fanboys, good. I love that there's fanboys of Ross Chastain, by the way. I love that there's passionate Ross Chastain fans. I love that there's passionate fans coming back for NASCAR. You have to be able to analyze the whole thing because they're sitting there saying, oh, he's the championship favorite now. I'm jumping all over him at 12-1, 14-1 to win the championship. Until he starts proving more, I'm not doing it. I'm not jumping it to bet Ross Chastain at 14-1 to win the championship.
Last year at 60-1 was a whole different story because that was 60-1. And he had already won or gotten near winning, and then he did win a couple times. But, I agree with you. And I'm going to tack on your whine about it here because I've been called multiple times this year on Twitter a Ross Chastain fanboy for defending him when he wasn't at fault for certain incidents. That doesn't make me a fanboy. That just makes me a realist. Because I will criticize him when he does dumb shit as well. And I'm not a Ross Chastain fan. I'm, in terms of I root for him. I'm a fan of him being in the sport. I'm a fan of the attention he brings. I'm a fan of the excitement he brings. But I'm not rooting for Ross Chastain unless I have a bet on him. Period. It's weird because people will take comments on Twitter and misconstrue them like they kind of misconstrued yours. You posted a yes or no poll. And people are like,
simple yes or no question.
People are like, why are you saying he should be suspended? You didn't. You said, should he be? Yes or no? It's people will just find the weirdest ways to twist your words into meanings you don't mean. And it's not even like either of us did a bad job of explaining them. It's just people decide to they take something, they run with it, and twist it into a whole new thing that was never intended, that you couldn't even read into it that way. I'm not reading into what you said that Ross Chastain should be suspended. I'm reading into what you said. Should he be? Yes or no? You literally had a poll that said yes or no. It doesn't get any clearer than that. And then, for me, all I said was he wasn't at fault. He didn't touch the guy. There was a lane here or whatever in the case of the Gragson incident. And then in the case of the Harvick incident, he didn't touch him. But then they always forget the times that I do criticize Ross Chastain. So it's people want to just... So, in this case, it's the Ross haters criticizing me for being a Ross fanboy. It flips the other way around as well. The Ross fanboys will criticize what they perceive as Ross hate. And it's no, sometimes we're just providing commentary or questions.
Yeah. And like I said, I want nothing more than to see Ross Chastain rattle off a few wins. And I hope a couple of them he dumps someone on the final lap to get them. I would love that. I think it'd be great for the sport. Fact of the matter is, I'm just pointing out right now, he's not a winner right now. And it's, you can't dispute that. You can't. Yep. So that's going to wrap up Wine About It this week, presented by L'uva Bella Winery. Like Nick said, we'll get back to reviewing wines here soon. I know I have a bunch sitting here. I'm not feeling great this week, so I'm not even drinking any alcohol right now. But make sure you check out L'uva Bella wines. They can be found Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, big stores. There's other grocery stores that they're in. I just don't know them because they're not in this area. But North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. Try the Purple Rain. Try all of them. They're really good. By the way, I think next week I'm opening the Bourbon Barrel Merlot. I think it's time for me to try it.
If I get that by next week's episode, I'll have it with you because that's my favorite, and I'm going right to that right off the bat. And then I'll try some of the others. I got the Bourbon Barrel Aged Cab as well, so I'll have to review that one on one of these episodes coming up as well. I'm excited for them. Got a couple other different ones as well, so I'll have extra ones to review as well, aside from the ones I've already done. And I know